Previously on Bookmas Day 1, we were in Jamaica on a reading vacation. We read Francois Sagan's Bonjour Tristesse, and we were also reading The Nightingale by Kristin. Unfortunately, Bookmas hasn't gotten very Christmassy yet, but stay tuned. We start today's video already in progress. I have no idea how to work this, but let's see if I can connect it to my phone so that I can listen to my book while I get ready. Oh my goodness, okay. Bluetooth, let's see if it picks up this device. Where's the Bluetooth? There we go. That's not it. The frame, there we go. I think this is it. Monster MFS. Oh.
Device is connected.
Cool, okay. So let's go to Audible and Kristin Hannah. I have 3 hours and 24 minutes left, but I actually have less than that because I usually listen on 1.7 speed because they just talk way too slow for me. So here we go. And I'm actually past chapter 25, but I think I'll let it.
She carefully laid Isabel back down. This is going to hurt.
Okay, so I have to look at the physical book to tell you exactly what page I'm on. And I have a pin in here as a bookmark. Does anyone else use crazy bookmarks? Okay, I'm actually on chapter 31. All right. Wow.
Chapter 31, May 6th, 1995, Portland, Oregon. For well over a year. At the end of the woods, they held torchlights. She heard a loud mechanical scream. It hurt you. He let his hand fall away. Proud man, and not to say best wishes, hostess. Isabel smiled. Their gratitude. Not at all on handshakes. She'd lost track of the times an American had hugged her so tightly she'd come off her feet. I brought up the rear. Warm milk and empty soup bowls. Eduardo?
So, so I guess this is a reading vlog of sorts, but right now I'm actually getting ready to go see Wicked. So that's what we're doing for day 2 of Bookmas. Reading, trying to get The Nightingale finished. So far, it's really good. I've said this before on my TikTok. It reads or listens both. I've been reading and listening. It sounds a lot like a miniseries from the 80s. I felt like there were a lot of miniseries during the 80s that had this same kind of story. I love a good World War II story because I love historical fiction, but it's something that's particularly inspiring about this era because of, you know, what people endured and how heinous the acts were against them. It's so funny because I need to put on my makeup, but I really can't see. I'm having trouble seeing today. Anyway, I'm using the Fenty Skin moisturizer with SPF 30. This is gonna be my makeup step, my foundation step. I'm not gonna put on regular foundation, just this moisturizer. And previously what you saw me use was I sprayed a little of the thermal water on my face, and then I used the copper peptide rapid plumping serum. This is a good serum. I did not realize that my copper peptides could be used during the day, so I've always used them during the night. But I read somewhere that you can use them during the day, and that actually works a little bit better for me because at night I want to use some sort of retin A or retinol or Cucciol product. And so copper peptides aren't irritating, but I just feel like they are kind of inactive and I don't necessarily want to combine them with anything else. But anyway, I love this Fenty sunscreen slash moisturizer. It is very nice. The color matches very well with my skin. You can tell that you can use a range of colors. And so this is nice. And it is very, very moisturizing. So I think this might be a staple. I typically like an SPF 50, but SPF 30 will do. It's so funny because in theory, if I wasn't having to drive to the movie theater or leave out the house to go back in to the movie theater, I could go without sunscreen technically because I'm gonna be inside a dark room. Anyway, I'm a little under the weather, as you may have detected in yesterday's video. I'm a little congested and I'm sure I probably sound a little weird, but that's why. I have a fresh black eyeliner that I have been carrying around for 2 days, and I think I may have misplaced it again. I found it. It had fallen, I think, in the crack of the sofa. And I was like, where's my eyeliner? And then I found it again. And I was carrying it around, and I would put it down and pick it up instead of just bringing it upstairs. And so I don't know what I did with it, but I'm going to go look for that. So I'll be right back. I found it to make sure it's the right one, because it may be the blue one. No, it's black. I knew that I bought it, but then I couldn't find it for the longest time. And I have an older one, but I feel like that one has kind of dried out. I didn't even know eyeliners did that, so that's crazy. I don't know, it just feels kind of dry when I use it on my eyes, so I don't know what that's about. But anyway, I have this one. It is pretty new. I've used it before, but I think only a couple of times. So Kristin Hannah's Nightingale is a very popular book, and I know a lot of people have read it. I'm not going to make the assumption that everyone has read it, though. So even though I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book, I thought I'd give you a really quick synopsis for those of you who don't know, and try not to spoil anything. I don't think I will. But right now, we have met our main character, Isabel. Isabel, I guess, is technically the main character. Her sister, Vian, her dad, and other characters. Their mom dies. The dad goes off to war. The dad comes back. He's very distant. The sisters are very much, the sisters are quite a few years apart. Like, one is kind of like already going into adulthood, while the other one is still young. And so the older sister really didn't have, I'm not going to say she didn't have time for her younger sister, but it was almost kind of like she was living her life, and she didn't want to be saddled with a younger sister to raise. They, go to live with this woman. She's very cruel to her sister. And again, without giving too much away, they kind of grow apart. Or technically, they were never really together. I already relate so much to this book because my sister and I, the sister that I was the closest to, that I grew up the closest to, she was 17 years older than me. And when I was little, I was her baby. And of course, she became a woman, and she got married, and she had kids, and my nieces and nephews came into the picture. As a little kid, I was pretty resentful of that, because I was her baby. And it's hard to understand when the person who you were like this with, who you followed everywhere, who you hung on their every word, they get married, they have kids, they have other interests, and you do kind of feel left out. But she always, included me, and she always took care of me. I mean, she was a wonderful sister. And we didn't always see eye to eye, and we had our falling outs as well throughout the years. Nothing crazy like where we just stopped talking to each other or anything like that, but we didn't always see eye to eye. I mean, she was definitely a boomer. I'm a Gen X. We were raised very differently. And our parents were a silent generation. So a lot of generational stuff in my life as a kid. That being said, we had nothing but love for each other. Unfortunately, she passed away from COVID in 2021. And I say all that to say that this book resonates with me because the younger sister, all she really wanted, honestly, was to be loved. And she really, I feel like, wanted to be loved by her older sister. And her older sister loved her in the best way she could. And she didn't always know how to do it. But they find themselves having to deal with World War II and all that happens during World War II, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. And they are in a time in their lives where they're surviving. That's what's happening. And they're doing it in their own ways. And in their own ways, they're both heroes. And we are 3/4 of the way through the book. Now, editing Bella popping in at this part, because this is where I realized that I had been hoodwinked. It wasn't that I got it wrong. I just made a few assumptions about the book. And I can't even really tell you what this means without spoiling it. So one thing you have to know about this book is that it is written in 2 timelines, and it's also written from different perspectives. And if you're not paying attention, that could be very deceptive. What I'm talking about in this segment of the video, I am so wrong, you guys, and I will talk about that more when I review the book. But suffice it to say that one of the main characters finds herself having to revisit that time during World War II as an older lady who now has cancer and doesn't have much time left. I will say that so far I have found a few things to be very predictable in the book, but I don't know if this twist was done on purpose or I just really wasn't paying attention. But she got me, y'all. She got me. I hope that I'm not giving too much away by saying this. And at this point in the video, I don't know how things are going to end. And I was very excited. And I'm not disappointed. You can binge watch it or whatever. And it's not that same excitement that we used to get when a new miniseries would come out and everybody, would watch it or whatever and talk about it at school the next day. Or even into adulthood, that used to be a cool thing, and they adapt some book and it'd be really epic. And sometimes they were really bad and sometimes they were really good. This reads like that. I could see this being a series or whatever. And it probably is. I feel like everything becomes a major motion picture or series at some point. So, I'll finish reading it and then find out that somebody made like a movie about it like 2 years ago. Anyway, so that's where we are. I'm doing minimal makeup, by the way. So I'm going to head out very soon. But I did want to just talk to you guys about the book. It came highly recommended. Like, people keep talking about this book. I keep seeing it. In fact, people keep talking about Kristin and her books. And it's funny because you'll see people like who love her books, and then you'll see people who hate her books because they feel like she does everything possible to rip your heart out. I've had my heart ripped out a couple times already in this book. Like, hey, Kristin, you didn't have to do that little girl like that. You didn't have to do that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But the fact remains, it's good reading. It draws you in. It keeps you engaged. I have been enjoying listening to it because they do the voices. It's kind of cool, like the voices of the kids and when she speaks in a French accent and when she doesn't. Like, so that part's pretty cool. I think the only thing that I kind of don't like about the book, if I had to pick something that I don't like so far, is we have this tendency to nationalize things. Like, if you're from France, you act a certain way. If you're from America, you act a certain way. From Germany, you act a certain way. And throughout the book, she always makes references to like, oh, Americans, like there was this one scene where she was eating fries and she's like, these horrible French fries that Americans love so much. That's unnecessary to me. I mean, maybe that's a way for you to learn about the character. And I get it. If that's the character, that's the character. But I always feel like when people do that, it's like, why the little dig? I'm sure people have lots of things they hate about what French people do. Lots of things that they hate about what Italian people do. Like, everybody, we do things differently. But like, sometimes the words you say more than you may have intended. And it's like, to me in the book, it's just a distraction whenever she says stuff like that. And maybe that's something that will get resolved in the end. But I'm just one of those people that like, I don't really like unnecessary snark. That's it. I don't like that. And you realize things about yourself when you read. I don't like unnecessary. Now, snark has its place. Sometimes people can be snarky. But I feel like there's a lot of unnecessary snark that like, girl, where did that even come from? Like, why would you even say that? Like, stop. It brings to mind a friend that I had once who, at the time I was eating gluten-free, mostly in solidarity with my daughter because she has a gluten sensitivity. She doesn't have celiac, but she's a gluten sensitivity, right? And so my daughter was, not eating gluten. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try not eating gluten too, just to see how I feel. And I did feel better, especially, everybody could probably use a little less refined wheat and gluten. So that's just my 2 cents. I definitely can use a lot less now because I'm really trying to lose weight, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so a friend of mine who I was really cool with, like we were really good friends, right? She had a party and she had gotten some macarons, and macarons are naturally gluten-free if you just use almond flour. So we were sitting around, everybody was talking, and I was like, oh, great, you got macarons. So I was like, cool, I could have something sweet because, you know, I'm not eating gluten right now. And, you know, she knew this, like she knew that I was doing it to see for my health. She knew that my daughter couldn't have it, you know. So one of her friends was like, oh, well, are you gluten-free too? Asking my friend. Well, you know, one of her friends was asking her if she was gluten-free too. And out of her mouth, for no reason, just snarky as hell, she says, oh, I don't eat fake shit. Pardon my French. Why the unnecessary snark? Like what, why? Can somebody tell me why? Why are people like this? We're no longer friends, by the way, as I'm sure you can imagine. That was one of the things that she did, and I let it slide. When I hear people say snarky things like unprovoked, it makes me wonder about your character. Anyway, that's the only one complaint that I have about the book. And I don't know if it's a real complaint about the book or it's just a pet peeve of mine. All right, I'm not completely dressed, but I'm gonna end this section here because otherwise I'll never get out of here. That's the book so far. I hope to finish it today. If not, I'll finish it tomorrow. And maybe this will probably be a good place to just stop this video and then I'll pick up again tomorrow. The way I can edit this and get this up tomorrow. Yeah, you guys don't need to know all the behind the scenes. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and like it, subscribe if you like it, and give me a thumbs up if you think it's cool. Tell people about it. Maybe other people want to, you know, hear about books and hear my perspective on books, and maybe we have similar perspectives or we can share. I don't know where this is going, but I'm just happy to be here. And I'm happy that you're here. So hopefully you'll be here tomorrow. And hopefully I finish this book. See you in the next one.